This particular time, I'd like to call the meeting of the Shreveport City Council meeting to order, January 25th, 2022. We're going to ask that Councilman Nicholson would give us the invocation, and Councilman Grayson Butcher would give us the pledge.
Dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you for another opportunity to come together in unity and cooperation to do the business of the city. Please help everyone, elected officials and other leadership and employees of the city, remember how important it is to serve the public interest every day with every decision we make. And thank you for the opportunity to serve the people of Shreveport. Amen.
Amen. If you would face the flag and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Also, we ask that you would turn your phone off or silence it. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Councilwoman Taylor, Councilwoman Fuller, Councilman Nicholson,
Present.
Councilman Butcher,
Here.
Councilman Jackson,
Here.
Councilman Green,
I'm here.
and Councilman Bowman.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the administrative conference Monday, January 10th, 2022, and city council meeting Tuesday, January 11th, 2022?
So moved.
Second.
Has been moved by Councilman Butcher, second by Councilman Nicholson. All in favor, let us vote. And that passes 4 with the others out of the council, out of the chamber. Does any member of the Shreveport City Council have any awards or recognitions, or distinguished guests that would only wouldn't exceed 15 minutes?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to invite to the podium Dr. James Patterson and Laura Alderman for a presentation.
All right.
Dr. Patterson, thank you so much for being here today.
Good afternoon. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Mayor? I'm here today to talk to you all about some things that we are undertaking with the Shreveport Police Department, and it has to do with the crisis response system, which you see on your screen. If you could draw that for me, I'd appreciate it. My name is James Patterson. I'm the chair of the Department of Psychiatry at LSU, and I work in the hospital at Ochsner LSU, mostly in the emergency room. I do what's called emergency psychiatry. And I've been doing that off and on, mostly on, for the past 22 years. And in fact, I came here in 1995 as a medical student and rotated through the ER then as well. The numbers on your screen show you the dramatic increase in the number of psychiatry patients coming into the ER over the past 2 decades. It basically shows you that in the year 2000, we were seeing 3 to 4, maybe 5 patients a day. And now, on a given day, it's 20 plus. Right now, our ER is easily seeing 20, 25 patients a day. Now, this is in the context of a population for the parish that has actually gone down by 2%. So it isn't more people moving into the city or the parish, it's just more sick people coming into the ER. So what's driving this? Well, for the most part, it's the city of Shreveport police that are driving them to the ER. That's a little joke there. But it's keeping our police force really busy. Our people are sicker, and our society and culture is really suffering. It really is. We have some preliminary data from looking at our 911 call center. We're working on another project with the city having to do with big data. And this shows you that a large number of the calls that we get are mental health related. In fact, the estimates that we found is well over 50% of the calls that we get into the 911 call center are mental health related. So that's a huge part of what we have to take care of in this city, is taking care of my people, my patients. I love them, they're my patients, somebody has to love them. Next slide. So what are we going to do? Right now, our first responder options have very limited resources. We don't have a lot. we can either put them in jail or we can take them to see me in the hospital. And for the most part, they go, there's a lot of them in both places. We do have a forensic psychiatrist that works at Caddo Correctional Center, and he stays very busy as well. So a lot of these people get arrested. A lot of them come to the hospital. Some of them go back and forth. I mean, it's a bouncing situation there. So what we really need is more options to keep them off the street, to keep them out of the police's hair, and to keep them out of our emergency room, because we're all overwhelmed. I mean, it's just getting worse and worse. That graph I showed you, it's still going up, okay? It's still increasing. So, next slide. So the demand definitely exceeds the supply, not only for law enforcement, but for the ER. And just to show you how significant it is right now in terms of COVID, 2 weeks ago we had, I think, 34 patients in the ER that were COVID positive. Today we only have 10, which is really good, a whole lot better. But the number of psychiatry patients, it's still going up, it hasn't changed. And what that means is that a lot of our psychiatry patients are now COVID positive. We have actually opened a COVID psych unit now because we have so many of them. So we're staying really busy. Next slide. So the state has this wonderful crisis response system that they are rolling out. Now we're part of it. We want to be a part of it. We're moving with it. However, it has a couple of very important limitations that are relevant to this situation. The patients, the folks that enroll or that are use this crisis response system have to be voluntary. Most of the people we see are not. And they have to be Medicaid or Medicaid eligible. Some of the patients we see are, but some of them are not. And so, this system looks great on paper, and we think it's going to work, but not for everybody, not for the most of my people. This is a graph showing you visits to our ER, just a part of those that's annualized. So over 50%, at least 50% are involuntary. That means they're brought in by the police on what's called a request for protected custody. That's a document that doesn't really have a lot of legal standing, but it gets them to the ER, where we then carry out the legal part of Louisiana Revised Statute, Section 28, and do what's called a physician's emergency commitment. 20% of them are non-Medicaid. So, the overlap here, 70% of the people that we have will probably not be able to use the crisis response system that the state is rolling out. And so when I saw it, I love Department of Health, and I'm happy that they're doing this, but when I saw those criteria in their program, I was a little bit dismayed, because it's not really going to help our ER that much at all. Next slide. So along comes Laura Alderman, who is wonderful at getting people to give us money. And she has done just that through the Bureau of Justice Assistance, which is with the U.S. Department of Justice. This group didn't give us money. She just got that money sent into our system to help us build these resources. Some very important partners here, including the International Association of Chiefs of Police, Policy Research Associates, and then the University of Cincinnati. So these are bringing together experts in law enforcement, behavioral health, disabilities, curriculum development, and we want to just raise awareness in the law enforcement community about the needs of these folks in our streets, and how do we best help them. Because oftentimes getting them in jail is not the right answer, but there's different ways to do this. Okay. So the Policy Research Associates, through this is what's called it's SAMHSA approved, is that right? So Substance Abuse and Mental Health Association, it's a federal group, looked at this new model for how to deal with these folks. It's called the Sequential Intercept model. And my little part of this is that crisis care continuum. That's a small little block on this long graph, but that's psychiatry right there. Everything else is what happens with them. So 911 and local law enforcement can take them to see us, that's the crisis care, or they go to jail. The problem is that our jails don't really have any type of downstream specialty courts. We need a drug court. Not only do we need a drug court, we need a court that is for mental health. Very rarely now do we do what's called a mental health commitment. Our mental health commitments are done after they've been in the hospital for usually 2 to 4 weeks. And in our environment today, that's very long length of stay. We rarely do that. We don't have to do that. We can do this, and it keeps them, one, out of jail long term anyway, and out of prison, or out of the hospital as well. Then there on the back side of that is reentry programs and probation and parole programs that can help with downstream effects. So this is coming to a head in terms of rolling this out in our community. There's a workshop that's going to be held April 4th and 5th. It's a 1.5 day long, and there are a lot of different stakeholders. Law enforcement, of course, emergency medical services, like myself, behavioral health providers, again, that's me. But what we need from you, sir and ma'am, all of you together, is a nomination to participate, 2 council members to take part in this workshop to assist us in rolling this out. The folks who are driving the bus, this PRA group, want the city integrated and involved in what we're doing. So because it's a group effort. I think that's the last slide, right? So I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Mr. Chair. Thank you. I appreciate the presentation. I've been privy to a couple of meetings and conversations about this. I think that if you live in the city of Shreveport, you can't bury your head and think that mental health is not an issue. I think that contributes a lot to our homeless population, as we've talked about, and
Yes, it does.
I'm glad to see us, y'all. I shouldn't say us. I'm glad to see that there is someone trying to take this seriously. And I think that, working together with the police department, 911, EMS, hospitals, government is the way to help these people. A perfect example, I was at a corner, a very busy corner the other day, and there was a poor lady that obviously lives on the corner, but she was beating her head up against a concrete wall. That's sad, and I'm hoping that what you're doing here and what the objective of this program is will help to take those people off the street and give them the help that they need, where they can become more productive citizens in our city.
Yes. I didn't have that number in my slides, but I would guess about 30 to 40% of my patients are homeless or very close to being homeless. So it's a big problem. Yes, sir.
Thank you, and I appreciate the work that y'all are doing.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman.
And I'd like to also introduce Amy Bowman, who's lieutenant in the police force, who's the mental health director of the mental health division. She has a lot going on in this endeavor, and I just wanted to say thank you. She's been tireless in her pursuit of getting these things moving forward.
And I want to thank you, Mayor. I think we've talked several times about mental health moving forward and having a mental health division within the police department. Councilwoman Taylor, she's also been in our crisis response committee meetings, and we've been meeting for 7 to 8 months. So we have a large stakeholder group here, and I would really like to see this move forward. We're starting to see a lot more individuals who are in crisis. We now have an actual code that's dispatched, so we will begin training our dispatchers hopefully in the upcoming months on how to evaluate those incoming calls. So we are progressing forward. We just really need the buy-in and the support from the council. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else?
Well, Dr. Patterson, I just was going to thank you again for your efforts on this front, and comment that there's no question that this is a much-needed tool for our law enforcement officers and for our local court system. Too many mentally ill people fall through the cracks and are really subject to a journey through the criminal justice system that doesn't help them or our city. I mean, I've been appointed to represent more than one individual over the past, well, almost 20 years who didn't know what planet he was on when he was incarcerated at CCC, much less what he was accused of doing or how he could correct his behavior. So I'm very optimistic and hopeful that through your efforts and the efforts of your partners within the Shreveport Police Department and the mayor's office, that we'll make progress on this. This could really have a very positive impact on our police department and on our mentally ill population. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other Councilman Bowles?
I don't listen. I did have one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I wanted to suspend, and well, I say suspend the rule, but I wanted to take up Resolution 5, if that's okay with the rest of the council members.
Yeah.
Well, you need to hear public comment first.
Before we do that?
Before we vote on it.
So we could, that's fine. No,
Yes,
I
sir.
just want to bring it up so they can come up.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Resolution number 5 of 2022, a resolution honoring James Fleury for nearly 20 years of dedicated service as a public servant. Whereas James Fleury, a lifelong resident of Shreveport for over 50 years, served as City of Shreveport Councilman for District E until he resigned on November 15, 2021. And whereas James Fleury was first elected to the City Council in 2014 and re-elected to office by the citizens of District E in 2018. His sense of fairness and commitment to community radiate from him while volunteering for the Clerk of Court's office with his beloved wife, Pat. And whereas James Fleury served with integrity, dedication, and commitment, traits which in every instance impelled him to seek to do the right thing in the service of the people of District E, the City of Shreveport, and Caddo Parish. He judiciously guarded the taxpayer assets placed in his trust, cared deeply about the public safety, and worked to build relationships that cross traditional boundaries. And whereas his departure from the City Council, in addition to being a personal milestone for him, which will allow him to enjoy time with family and friends, is also an excellent opportunity to honor and thank him for his leadership, which included an unprecedented run as chairman of the City Council, a courageous and public battle with cancer, and an accessible and relatable personality noted for his realistic but hopeful outlook and caring personality. And whereas, after nearly 8 years of distinguished service as a District E City of Shreveport councilman and retiring from his nearly 20 years in elected public service, including 12 years as a Justice of the Peace in Caddo Parish, Fleury said, "It has been a pleasure to serve the people of District E and Shreveport, and I look forward to my retirement. I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Shreveport in due legal and regular session convened that the Shreveport City Council honors James Fleury for nearly 20 years of dedicated service as a public servant, and wish him and his wife Patricia Fleury and their children Dr. Angie Fleury Sherman and James Fleury Jr. many continued years of health, commitment, and prosperity."
I'm very happy. My son and I are very happy to be here today on behalf of James. James, myself, and our children are very appreciative of the resolution that you are honoring him with. Public service has still been the lifeblood of him, and we're both so thankful for you that we can contribute a small part to the city to make it better for all residents. One of the many blessings of being a city councilman, he'd always says, are the friendships that you make of people that you probably never would have ever truly met, and he is truly thankful for that. Please continue to keep our family in your thoughts and prayers. In closing, he said to tell you, he will be watching you, and y'all better behave. Thank you so very much, and I wish he could be here, and so does he, but hopefully he'll get out of the hospital tomorrow, and we got a wonderful report today, so he's on the road to recovery, and just continue to pray for us. Thank you. Thank you, Jerry.
Did any council member have something?
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Patton, I just want to say that he's right. Sometimes being on this council, some of the most rewarding things are the friendships that you make. So I pray for him, and he's missed.
Thank you very much.
Miss Pat, just tell him James said, tell James hello.
He
God
appreciates and loves each one of y'all. Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Any other council member?
Well, of course, Ms. Pat, I'll say that I very much enjoyed serving with Councilman Fleury. His ability to relate to all kinds of people in a friendly and approachable way really made him an effective public servant, and I wish him and your family the very best.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, do you have any recognition of distinguished guests today?
I do, Mr. Chairman, and really quick, I want to address the Flurries as well. Ms. Pat, I talked to Councilman Fleury the other day, and he told me about his salt restrictions. So hold him to that now, because I know him. I've broken bread with him plenty. I know he's going to be sneaking off trying to get food, so keep our guy healthy, and we'll be praying for you.
Thank you so very much.
I think he can accomplish that if you keep Willie Bradford away from him for a little while. He'll be able to accomplish that.
He's babysitting right now.
I'm done.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I feel like a pastor today. I got another prayer request as well. We were supposed to have our student mayor here today, Morgan Meyer from University, a 5th grader, but unfortunately he got sick. So let's pray that he gets better as well, and we can have him at our next council meeting.
All right.
Starting off my comments today, I want to just announce to the City Council and invite you all. I'll be holding a press conference tomorrow to announce the police chief. The press conference will be at 1:30, I believe. It's not on my notes. I'm pretty sure it's at 1:30 tomorrow. Everybody is invited to attend. The City of Shreveport Department of Property Standards is partnering with Shreveport Green to establish a waste tire cleanup pilot program. Through an agreement with the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality, $42,000 is being provided to fund the execution of the program. Data will be compiled based on citizen complaints to determine the area to focus tire collection efforts. Motion cameras will also be purchased for the Environmental Crimes Unit to monitor the tire dump sites, and that is another place that we too will be using the Real-Time Crime Center to try to mitigate those dumping sites in our city. I want everybody to save the date for February 22nd, 2022. We plan to light up the night sky from the Texas Street Bridge with the new Bukowski Bridge of Light show. A bridge dedication will take place on the riverfront thanks to our generous donors, Dr. George and Sandra Bukowski. We hope to see everybody at this wonderful event, this momentous event for our city. This will be the only LED bridge in the state of Louisiana, and we have it right here in our home, Shreveport, Louisiana. Lastly, the Department of Property Standards is holding its next sweep in District B and G on Wednesday, January 26th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Citizens can bring trash and tires for disposal to Bilberry Park at 1902 Alabama Avenue. The Shreveport Police Department will be citing property owners for yard parking and other violations. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my comments for today.
Mr. Mayor, do you have any other communications related to city business?
I do not, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Does any member have any questions for Mr. Green and property standards?
Mr. Chair, I told Mr. Green I didn't have anything, but Mr. Green, you remember when we went down on Southern down there close to where I-49 comes in, and we, all the way down at the end of Southern Avenue where it dead ends and the I-49 is. I was down there the other day, and there, I don't know if there's anything we can do, and this may go back to the environmental part of the police department, but they dump tires down there. You know, I think Mr. Norman put a roadblock down there to keep them from going down up underneath 49 and dumping them. Well, they're dumping them in front of the roadblock. So if maybe y'all or Public Works could go get those tires picked up, I'd appreciate it. And then maybe they can put a camera out there or something, see who's dumping them. But there was probably a dozen to half a dozen tires out there at the end of the road.
We did request one for that area.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other council member?
Yeah, I just, I know most of the time when we see, or not, I know I said this before, when we see or hear something about there's, trash or illegal dumping or something in the roadways or on the right of way or whatever, A lot of times, the first thing comes to mind is property standards. It's not all property standards. I just want to make sure that we all get together and make sure that we're all either working together, that's with Public Works, because they are to take care of the right-of-ways. So I want everybody just to do their part, and I'm sure that you all have done in the past. I just want to make sure that we're not just passing the buck on to someone else and not just pushing it out onto Mr. Green and his staff. I mean, I think y'all do a good job, but it can be overwhelming if we're pushing everything towards just one department instead of just the appropriate. You know, we say or we think we're close to being caught up on bulk pickups. I don't think so personally, because I still see a lot of it out in different areas, not just in my area, just all over. So just here and there, hits and misses. So I just want to make sure we just continue to work together and make sure we're sending this to the appropriate departments. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
With this particular area, I can say that Mr. Green, myself, and Caddo Commissioner and Mr. Norman walked this area about a year and a half ago, and within 24 hours, Mr. Norman had a roadblock put up at the end of, or a barricade put up to keep people from going and dumping all those tires under I-49.
That's directly on the I-49?
Yeah, if you go all the way to the end of Southern and you take a left, I think it's on 75th or 76th. It's right in there.
Yeah.
And so they did work very, very well together, but I think that the enforcement probably needs to fall on getting those cameras out there because they're still dumping them. And I think I'll be honest, I think it's tire shops that are not wanting to pay the disposal fee, and they're going in there and dumping them at the end of that road. So, but I appreciate it, and yeah, I think everybody working together. I agree with Councilman Bowman. Not all of it falls on you, but it just sometimes it seems that you're the one here to hear it. So, I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I may, just to address some of what Vice Chair Bowman mentioned about the bulk pickup, we do have contracts in place now to assist Public Works with bulk pickup, so we should be seeing some progress there. But I'd also like to make sure that everyone understands a lot of times when it's a lot of what we consider bulk on the side of our streets is persons have moved out of rental property and the homeowners have gone in and cleaned those places out and stacked that stuff. That's really their responsibility, and we're going to have to get better at making sure that the property owners know that they are responsible for collecting and picking that stuff up and not putting it on the street.
Right. I work closely with, and she stepped out, I believe, Amy Bowman and I think it was Sergeant Sanchez, on coming up with the process to continue to enforce those property owners who are sitting those things out the inside of them homes to the street. So we may need to get back together on that conversation and continue to enforce that as well. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else for Mr. Green? Thank you, Mr. Green.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, can I have an alibi? I forgot. I do have a guest today.
Yes.
It didn't make my notes. I apologize. I want to bring up Mr. Marvin Muhammad to talk about his role on the Industrial Development Board. Last week, we announced that economic development project with AEP SWEPCO, but the Industrial Development Board has been very critical on multiple projects that we've had over the last couple of years, including the Amazon deal. So I wanted to bring him up to make a couple comments about the role that they play in potential partnerships in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, to the council chair, to the council. When I received a call from the mayor's office, I was able to, I guess if you will, Mr. Mayor, take one of the items off my bucket list. Actually being invited to a municipality to speak about some of the work that we are doing. So I'm deeply appreciative. As the mayor said, I am a member of the Caddo Parish Industrial Development Board. And oftentimes, the Shreveport City Council, the Caddo Parish Commission, and the school board, they get much of the ink. But oftentimes, a lot of the work, a lot of the putting shoe leather to asphalt is done in committees and on boards. The mayor mentioned one project in which the Industrial Development Board and the City of Shreveport is working in conjunction to bring to the City of Shreveport. As you know, the Advanced Call Center Technologies have announced over 600 jobs coming to the City of Shreveport. And what's great about this is that when the call center closed in 2019, we lost 145 jobs. So not only did we regain those 145 jobs, but we added another 400 and mathematician, I believe 455 additional jobs, direct jobs, if you will. Of course, as you know, the ledger also states that there was over 300 plus indirect jobs, and the list just gets great. What's great about this project is that the Caddo Parish Industrial Development Board and the City of Shreveport had an opportunity to work together. What many don't know, particularly the citizens, is that we was in high competition with a town or a city in East Texas. We were in the top two. This was an announcement that was made last year, but what happened because of COVID, things kind of went to a freeze. So our partners with NLEP, they reached out to the Perkins administration. They also reached out to us. And what they asked us to do was to incentivize each job that came to the city of Shreveport. And so while we are still working out the numbers, we received the call first, and they want us to carry the water. And then after we said, well, we could do this amount, the Perkins administration also received a call, and they actually said they would help to carry the water to bring this to fruition. And so right now we are currently working on a CEA, or Cooperative Endeavor Agreement, between the City of Shreveport, the IDB, and the company that is bringing these jobs to the city. That incentive package is going to, so the City of Shreveport would know, you're going to have to write a check. So we're being asked to incentivize each job with a $300 payment, if I believe. Those numbers are still being negotiated, but you do the math. We're going to be taking part of that water, and the City of Shreveport is going to be taking the other. What's the beautiful thing about this again is this is over $20 million of payroll that is going to be infused inside of the City of Shreveport. When we start talking about sustainable dollars to first responders, to our city workers, to other programs, these are the type of the programs that we need inside the City of Shreveport. Additionally, at our last Industrial Development Board meeting, we was able to, and this would be a good news for City Councilwoman Taylor, we was able to advance and introduce and author legislation that's seeding the North Market Economic TIF District with a $50,000 seeding to help with planning. A lot of people are saying, well, why do you need these dollars for planning? Well, very simple. That 2-mile stretch between State Highway 3194 and State Highway 3094, it has about 50% blight. Travel it sometime, 2 miles. That is the Economic Development District that City Councilwoman Taylor and Caddo Parish Commissioner Stephen Jackson is working on together, along with School Board Rep Dr. Terrence Vincent. The beautiful thing about this is that now, when we begin to look at this project, when we start looking at curb appeal, when we start looking at retainer walls, when we start looking at lighting needs. I toured the Amazon plant earlier today, and I was shocked that that area is already having traffic issues. Think about that. Right now, before Amazon is even open, they're already having traffic issues and concerns. It's literally impossible to get into that area. So There's going to be studies to see what streets needs to be widened and whatnot that's not already occurring. So this is why, we felt that it was important and vital. And I know City Councilwoman Taylor would definitely be excited to hear that we are working with the city of Shreveport, and I definitely really appreciate that. So again, Mr. Mayor, there's a lot of other many things that I could speak about that we are working on together. In fact, the mayor and I was on a call, I believe, I don't know, maybe 4 months ago with some of our state partners. And what was sad, because the city of Shreveport get a lot of slack because of the General Motors plant. But a lot of people do not know that the General Motors plant fall under the confines of the Industrial Development Board. We actually own that property. And currently we're in a 25-year lease with Stu Lichter. And it's just literally impossible to get anything done. So again, Mr. Mayor, Council Chair, I appreciate this opportunity. And if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Muhammad.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. Yeah, Mr. Chair and Council,
Yeah.
I just wanted, I wanted Mr. Muhammad to come up and talk about the Industrial Development Board's role. We've had a lot of activity economic development wise, and they're a strong partner to us. Our administration, we've been leading the effort on this, but we know we couldn't lead the effort if y'all didn't grant us the ability to write those checks. The checks would be much larger without them. They step in and supplement those dollars and those incentives that we offer companies. And Mr. Muhammad has played a great role on that board, so I just wanted him to come up and say a couple things about it and let people know we have a lot more to come as far as economic development announcements. So.
Thank you. Mr. Clark, do you have a master plan report today?
He's not in here.
He's not here? Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, would there be any legislation added today?
There's none that I'm aware of.
Thank you.
Did have something, I didn't know, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Mr. Clark's not here, but if Mr. Green or Mr. Clark can hear me, I want to check with them on this tire shop that's at the, I forgot to bring that up, on the corner of Esplanade and Greenwood Road.
Mr. Green left.
Okay, I'll send him a message. Okay.
All right, thank you. Today we will hear public comments on agenda items only. The chair will control the time and read them all.
Sammy Mears.
Sammy Mears, 1901 Centenary Boulevard, Apartment M110, Shreveport 71101. I'm speaking on Resolution A5. I think it's a great idea and a wonderful idea to honor James Flurry for almost the 20 years of dedicated service for being a public servant. He has really earned this, and it should be taken care of right away and ASAP. He's been a very dedicated person, faithful, outstanding, and honorable enough for the past almost 20 years at this present time. I'm very happy that I've gotten to know him here at the City Council during the time that he served. If I had not been here, I never would have. I'm glad I have. He's also a laughable moment. Anything that's definitely funny to laugh at, he definitely will. I don't know all of the other things that he has done for almost the 20 years, but James Flurry has really done a whole lot. I feel that whatever he has done, it's his turn to be honored, and the same thing would go for anyone who has earned decades for whatever they do, and I'm very happy to come and say that. And in conclusion, COVID's going to go too far one day, and I hope it stays there.
Thank you, Mr. Mears. And it's out. Marvin Muhammad, you on again?
Mr. Chair, to the council, Marvin Muhammad. I rise to speak on ordinance number 72. Earlier today, I sent the author of that legislation, City Councilwoman Fuller, and told her that I was cautiously optimistic about the ordinance that she introduced. As you read it, on surface, it seems, and the argument is that is a policy that would better serve local contractors, specifically disadvantaged and small and emerging contractors. What I can tell you that as a small and emerging contractor, that's just not the case. I viewed it. I did send her a communication stating to her that I would like to see this report vote your African American Chamber of Commerce as a member of the A&E committee. I also texted her and said that I also wanted to see the chair of the NAACP Economic Development Committee also on the A&E committee. One bright spot that I did see was the inclusion of the Fair Share Director. And again, the work that our Fair Share Director, Leon Wheeler, has done has been tremendous. However, that doesn't assure that local contractors, particularly disadvantaged contractors, will be deemed as someone worthy and given an opportunity. Because with the work that he's done, if he receives a call from the Department of Commerce, from the Biden-Harris administration, where he's gone, and we no longer have that voice. Or maybe he gets a call from the Edwards administration because of his work in the city of Shreveport, and we no longer have that voice who have already done great things. So, again, I will hope that that ordinance doesn't pass as it is right now, without the entities that are speaking up for economic inclusion, particularly for those minority and disadvantaged businesses. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. We have the following executive appointments to be considered today. Also, on yesterday, we talked about the Metropolitan Planning Commission, Chris Elberson. We're going to ask for a motion to postpone him today.
Motion to postpone,
Chris.
postpone all of them?
No, just Chris Elberson.
I'm asking, can we postpone, put a postpone on all of them? I'm asking, can we postpone all of them?
Oh, I don't know. That's up to you all.
Is that a motion?
Is that a motion? Is that a motion?
I'll second.
Motion by Councilman Bowman, second by Councilman Butcher to postpone all of the appointments at this time. All in favor? Are there any questions? All in favor, vote. Okay.
Motion carries with 5, 2 absent.
There are no items on the consent agenda for introduction to be adopted. Madam Clerk, would you proceed with regular agenda legislation?
Resolutions on second reading and final passage. Resolution 132, authorizing the mayor to execute an option to ground lease between the city of Shreveport and Shreveport HP Allendale LLC.
Motion postpone.
Second.
Motion by the chair, second by Councilman Bowman to postpone. All in favor, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Motion carries with 5, 2 absent.
Resolution 165, approving a restoration tax abatement renewal application for Venue Solutions LLC, 601 Milam Street.
Motion to postpone.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Nicholson, second by Councilman Butcher to postpone. All in favor, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Motion carries with 5.
Resolution 2, authorizing the employment of special legal counsel to represent the city of Shreveport.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Nicholson, second by Councilman Bowman. All in favor, let's vote.
Motion carries with 5.
Resolution 3, authorizing the mayor to execute a cooperative purchasing agreement between the city of Shreveport and the Baton Rouge Fire Department.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Butcher, second by Councilman Bowman. All in favor, let's vote.
Motion carries with 5.
Resolution 5, honoring James Fleury for nearly 20 years of dedicated service as a public servant.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Bowman, second by Councilman Butcher. All in favor, vote yes.
And that motion carries with 5.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you proceed with introduction of resolutions not to be adopted prior to February the 8th?
Resolution 6, amending the pay schedule for the municipal police civil service personnel and municipal fire civil service personnel. Resolution 7, accepting the public dedication of the west side of Chestnut Park Lane and Providence Place intersection rights-of-way and Providence subdivision. Resolution 8, accepting the public dedication of Pecan Square Avenue, Fairwoods Drive, and Woodbury Avenue rights-of-way and 30-foot wide drainage servitude in Providence subdivision, Phase 4, Unit A. Resolution 9, authorizing a request to be made to the Louisiana Department of Natural Resources, Louisiana State Mineral and Energy Board to seek public bids for an oil, gas, and mineral lease involving the property located in Districts F and G and described herein, and to execute the lease for certain mineral interest owned by the city of Shreveport, and to authorize the mayor to execute any and all documents related to the intent of this resolution. Resolution 10, authorizing the Shreveport Airport Authority to discard surplus property passenger boarding bridges, IFB number 22-066. Resolution 11, to amend resolution number 139 of 2021, which was adopted to execute an agreement between the city of Shreveport and Carr, Riggs & Ingram LLC for the purpose of an external audit of the city for fiscal year January 1, 2021 through December 31, 2021. And Resolution 12, a resolution whereby the mayor is making a recommendation to the city council for its approval regarding the amount and type of various insurance premiums, and to authorize the mayor to execute a payment to the agent of record for the purpose of binding insurance and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Thank you. Is there a motion to introduce these resolutions?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Bowman, second by Councilman Nicholson. All in, we don't have to vote. Madam Clerk, would you proceed with introductions of ordinance not to be adopted prior to February the 8th?
And Mr. Chair, the administration has requested that ordinance number 3 and ordinance number 4 not be introduced today. If there's no objection, I won't read that into the record and it won't be introduced.
Yes, ma'am.
Ordinance number 1, amending the 2022 budget for the general fund. Ordinance number 2, amending the 2022 general fund budget. Ordinance number 5, amending the City of Shreveport, Louisiana 2022 Street Special Revenue Fund budget, appropriating the funds authorized herein. Ordinance 6, amending the City of Shreveport, Louisiana 2022 Capital Projects Fund budget, appropriating the funds authorized herein. Ordinance 7, amending the 2022 Community Development Special Revenue Fund budget. Ordinance 8, declaring the city's interest in declaring certain land as surplus and our intention to donate certain land to Volunteers of America of North Louisiana. Ordinance 9, to amend and repeal sections in Chapter 70, Planning and Development of the City of Shreveport, Louisiana Code of Ordinances relative to the Shreveport Municipal Planning Commission of Caddo Parish. Ordinance 10, to amend various articles and sections in the City of Shreveport, Louisiana Unified Development Code related to fence requirements and restrictions. Ordinance 11, zoning case number 21-184-C, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located west of Linwood Avenue and approximately 83 feet south of West 83rd Street, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, from R17 Single Family Residential District to C2 Corridor Commercial District. Ordinance 12, zoning case number 21-199-C, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located on the south side of Burt Coons Industrial Loop Expressway, approximately 520 feet east of Linwood Avenue, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, from C3 General Commercial District to C4 Heavy Commercial District.
Is there a motion to introduce these ordinances?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Butcher, second by Councilman Nicholson. There's no need to vote. Madam Clerk, would you proceed with ordinance on second reading and final passage?
Ordinance 72 to amend certain portions of Chapter 26 of the City of Shreveport Code of Ordinances relative to the architectural and engineering selection process.
Motion to postpone.
Second.
Second.
Motion by the chair and second by Councilman Nicholson and Councilman Butcher.
I'll let
All
him
in
have it,
favor,
Chair.
let's vote.
Motion carries with 5.
Ordinance 191, declaring the city's interest in certain land as surplus and our intention to donate certain land acquired by the Department of Community Development to Volunteers of America of North Louisiana. And Community Development has requested this be withdrawn. It's being replaced by Ordinance 8, which was introduced today.
Can I get a motion to withdraw?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Bowman, second by Councilman Nicholson to withdraw. All in favor, let's vote.
Motion carries with 5.
Ordinance 195 to amend Chapter 58, Article 4, Division 1, and Chapter 78, Article 8, Division 1 of the City of Shreveport, Louisiana Code of Ordinances relative to litter and dumping.
Motion to postpone.
Second.
Motion by the chair, second by Councilman Butcher. All in favor, let's vote.
Motion carries with 5.
Ordinance 204, zoning case number 21-158-C, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located on the southeast corner of LaGuardia Street and Hawkins Street, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, from R15 Single Family Residential District to RA Rural Agricultural District.
Motion postpone.
Second. Second by Al Jackson.
Motion by the chair, second by Councilman Jackson. All in favor, let's vote.
Motion carries with 5.
Ordinance 227, zoning case number 21-185-C, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located on the northeast corner of David Range Road and Willis Street, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, from R15 Single Family Residential District to C1 Neighborhood Commercial District.
Motion postpone.
Second.
Motion by the chair, second by Councilman Bowman. All in favor, let's vote.
Motion carries with 5.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is there any table legislation to be removed today?
Not that I'm aware of.
We've had our property standards report. Are there any ABO appeals to consider today?
Mr. Chairman,
not.
are we able to dispose of Miss Amanda Smith's ABO appeal in light of the law we adopted a month or two ago that addresses that?
I'll have to look at that.
Okay, well, maybe we can do that next meeting if we can, just to get it
Yes,
off the
sir.
docket. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Are there any other appeals, Madam Clerk?
There are none.
Are there any reports, office of boards, or committees? Madam Clerk, is there a clerk report?
The appointment that we received yesterday, the mayor has withdrawn that appointment for Mr. Milton Gels to the Shreveport Airport Authority.
All right. Madam Perkins, do you have any other additional communication?
I have no additional communication, Mr. Chairman.
Does any council member have any additional communication?
Yes.
Councilman Bowman?
Is Mr. Mouton here? No.
Drew? I didn't see it. No, he's not in.
Okay. I just wanted a update or I want a full understanding of Millennium Studios, just what exactly is going on, potentially to go on there, and what we're using those dollars for.
I got Miss Bonnie Moore here who can address
Okay.
any questions.
Ms. Moore, would you come?
up?
Good afternoon. Councilman, the Millennium Studios is going to be a multifaceted development that includes workforce development, primarily workforce development, film, and other various workforce development tools to increase job opportunities for people in our community. It's probably a 70,000 square feet facility. In that facility will house a artist maker space, a distribution center, a workforce development center, and also film. $2 million of it will be from Choice Neighborhoods dollars. Another 250 will be CDBG. Of course, the money that you all legislated will go toward that. Will have some dollars from minor rehabilitation to retrofit it to fit the needs of the development. But more so, it will address the economic development needs of that community, particularly the targeted neighborhoods within that community. They will benefit from jobs, from entrepreneurship. There will be business development opportunities as a result of that. It will have a massive infusion on economic opportunities for our community. We believe will be a transforming engine for that community, which, as you remember, not too long ago was a very desolate area. It was an area that was tremendously impoverished. We came in and we're doing mixed income development there. We have well over 1,000 applicants for the housing there, which are a mixture of housing, very diverse. And as a result of that, this will be a tremendous economic infusion, which help grow that community again, which was again very, very desolate at one time. Additionally, we plan to do a qualified health center, a child care center there, a mixed-use development. All of it will come together to make for a great transformation of downtown and what was traditionally a low-income neighborhood. It is a win-win for our community. It is something that will be different. It will be highly tech in nature. And we will also ensure that we have the state-of-art infusions, programs, everything located at this one location.
When you said win-win, so it is definitely, I just had some reservations and some thoughts, so you are confident that this is a win-win and to the amount of money invested is...
It'll be self-supporting as well. The tenants there, Southern University, SHRAC, the artist production community from the center, it will also, they will have to self-support themselves. Also, there will be money generated to support operations for that. So I know there's a concern that this is a building that the city will have to support, but we're trying to put every provision in place to ensure that this is self-supporting and self-sustaining.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Ms. Bonnie, thanks for being here. As always, when you described a number of services that will be provided in this building, will those be services that the city is operating, or are we going to lease space to private third parties?
We're going to lease space. Now, we will operate the building, be responsible for the management and oversight, but that would be very limited because those tenants will be responsible for their own provision of service.
We've identified the tenants that are going to fill this building?
Yes.
When will that information be public?
We can get that information for you this week.
Okay, that's great. I mean, one reason for concern, and I understand you don't decide who signs a non-disclosure agreement or how people who sign it are constrained, but I will say as a member, it's difficult for me to evaluate requests for millions of dollars when an NDA is signed, and for that reason, information is not provided to a council member. I just, at least internally, the more information I have and the sooner I have it, the better position I'm in to make a decision about projects of this nature. But I always appreciate your reports and your work for the city. Thank you.
Yeah, you're more than welcome.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
one quick question. Councilman Nicholson, are you asking for the information on the non-disclosures as well?
No, sir. I
Okay.
don't need that. I would like to know what's going to happen in the building and who's going to do it. And Ms. Bonnie has said that information is now, can be provided, so I'd like to see it. And I know the public would like to have it when you're ready to put it out to the public.
I think maybe one or maybe two of the tenants is still not able to be disclosed at this time. I can't verify that right now because Drew is not in here, but it's my
He's in the
understanding that part of it is still for non-disclosure. I could be wrong.
Well, he's on his way up here, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Ms. Moore, I just want to make sure I understand, because one of the biggest things for me is the city taking on any additional real estate that we have to take care of. I think we'd all agree that that's probably not something we need to do. So I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. Some of the tenants are going to be responsible for their own spaces, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
I'm sure the major issues like air conditioning, plumbing, things like that, but as far as cleaning the spaces and making sure that it's up, kept well, will be up to those tenants, correct?
Correct. We've been very strategic in how we develop this. We wanted to ensure that there was enough revenue coming in to support all of those needs.
Okay. I'm adamantly opposed to us adding additional real estate to our overwhelmingly large portfolio, and I think in your to you, Mayor, I think that you've been working on that to try to alleviate the things that we don't need. If this is something that we need that will help with economic development to the downtown area, I think that it's a good idea, and I think that it will not only be used by the residents that you have there, but also by residents from all over the city.
Yes, absolutely.
So I hope that, and I have all the faith in the world in Mr. Mouton and his abilities. I hope that we're able to really, if we're going to invest in this facility and we're using dollars from the city and the taxpayers, I don't want us to be sitting here, 6 months or 6 years down the road and it just be another eyesore that the city owns. So, I'm 100% for anything that's going to help our region as a whole, but I also want to make sure that we do it responsibly. And I think the two of y'all working together, that'll be done. But I'm going to write each one of y'all a letter 6 years from now when I'm no longer serving if it's an eyesore. And you too, Mayor, and you too, Mr. Whitehall. I'm done. Thank you.
I don't think Mr. Waterham's going to get your letter in Tahiti, so
I think he'll shred it immediately.
Councilman, I'd like to address sort of the broader topic that you mentioned, and mention Ms. Shelley Regal also, Mrs. Moore, myself, Ms. Regal. We've taken a real close look, I think, at the non-performing assets that we have in our portfolio. And we're doing some work now that's in the formative stages to both look at our adjudicated property that I think we all know is, excessively beyond what we really should have, and then what I think of as our business assets that aren't performing the way that they can. And over the next several months, I think you'll hear back from the three of us on a way that we're going to look at turning those from deficit producing to revenue positive properties. And with that in mind, I think this property is an important one that we're investing into. To your point, this is an economic development initiative, but Mrs. Moore and I have been working towards this over the last several months to look at the ways that we can address the deficits that we have as a community in our workforce development space. And it has fallen to me in the last 6 months or so to take the phone calls from the film and content production industry. And I will tell you, I get these on a daily basis, at least several times a week. We have a history of doing a lot of film work here, and as many people here remember, after 2010, 11, 12, the state hiccuped on its credits. New Orleans and Baton Rouge, frankly, got back on the horse and figured out how to bring a lot of that production in. I just heard yesterday that New Orleans has $928 million of film projects that are either completed over the last year or in the works, right? This can be a massively effective industry for our state. Our credit programs allow us to do that. The problem that we've had is that our crew sort of dispersed after the 2010, 11, 12. So what you haven't seen, and frankly we haven't announced it yet because we do have some confidential elements to this, but we've engaged all of our education partners in the community, all of our trades partners in the community, and over the next several weeks, right now we're planning a couple weeks out, we'll bring these folks together and let you see this comprehensive workforce development program that will be centered at this Millennium campus. What's, I think, magic about this project is that Mrs. Moore, through the Choice Neighborhood Program, needed to build something like this anyway. We had federal money that was set aside to build something called the Epic Center that I think she's mentioned, but we're able to, as I think we say now, feed two birds with one seed. We meet the objectives of the Choice neighborhood. We're able to meet a need for a larger industry development initiative, and as she said, we expect this entire campus to be revenue positive. We're in negotiations on some terms, but essentially our tenants that are queuing up right now should cover all of the costs of supporting it, plus some, plus let us build some programming that we think can be transformative for the community. So we really think this is going to be beyond win-win, and maybe even be a national model for how communities support this industry and create jobs. But just as an example, we're negotiating with a series development that all by itself, just one production, has a crew of about 250 people. Long-term, if it works out, multi-year. So these are the kinds of things that sometimes the community, I think, will ask us why we're spending our time on this industry. We're an arts community. It's something where we can have a pretty significant impact with a moderate level of investment in our time and energy and resources. And again, we have this emotional resonance to a time 10 years ago when we really did a lot of this work. So we think we've got the bones in place to be able to do it again.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Drew, what Councilman Nicholson had asked is a list of all the lessees.
Well, I don't, maybe I phrased my question artfully. I just would like, when the time is right and there are no longer confidentiality concerns, for there to be a comprehensive and public presentation of what this space will be used for. I mean, you're talking in general terms, and what you're saying is very encouraging, but I know the public would like to hear the details, and when you're ready to share those, I would appreciate you doing so.
Yeah, we're close, and I'll let you know that some of that involves state-level commitments. With one of our anticipated tenants has already executed agreements at the state to bring a certain number of jobs and to be a part of this community down here, and we're not at liberty to disclose that because of those agreements. But those are agreements that have been made already, so we're short period of time, 2 to 3 weeks, I think, from where we can give a full accounting to the community on exactly what will be happening there and what the plan is going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does any other council member have any additional communications? Also, I'd like to report that Councilwoman Taylor was unable to make it today. Her son is ill. She asked that we would pray for Dominique, and also on yesterday I received that Councilwoman Fuller would not be here yesterday nor today. There are no executive sessions.
Can I read something, please?
Sir?
One more thing.
Councilman Bowman.
And I promise it's my last one. I sound like a Baptist preacher right now, but I wanted to read something that, and it's real short, something that Councilman Fleury told me after we had first met and we had our first disagreement on the vote we about something, and something he said stuck with me, and I remember sending it to myself, and I was sitting there scrolling trying to find it. So and it's relevant for today. Let us not seek the Republican answer. Let us not seek the Democratic answer. Let us not seek to fix the blame for the past. Let us accept our own responsibility for the future. And I asked him where did he get that from, because I didn't think it was his own quote, and he told me it was from President Kennedy. So I just thought that it was relevant for today. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's nothing else to come before this body, this meeting is now adjourned.